Last year was the first time in 18 seasons that Century football did not make the playoffs. A pair of losses in late October ended their season early and snapped the longest postseason streak in school history. This year, there's no beating around the bush when it comes to the Patriots' goals.
Last year, we put our pads away in October, and that hadn't happened for many years, and we don't want that to happen again. So I think that's kind of the battle cry for all the kids is we want to play in November, and you know, once you get to November, anything can happen. Consistency. I think that's the key. I think if you look at some of our games last year, we were up and down, and it cost us. We need to be consistent for 48 minutes.
The Patriots return their starting quarterback this season, while many other WDA teams will turn to new faces. That's an advantage as Noah Herr takes snaps for a second consecutive year.
I think it's really good to be able to get that little bit of experience under my belt, so I can kind of just come into that senior season with a little more confidence. It's always a little nerve-wracking, like when it's your first year of varsity. I think the fact that I was able to play last year really is going to help me this year.
Well, I think anytime you have a two-year starter, especially at the QB position, you should be ahead of the curve a little bit. And certainly that is the case. You know, Noah's played a lot of football this summer, and he's well versed in our offense, so we expect big things out of him.
Century will open the season on the road at Shanley on August 29th. The dog days of summer are slowly coming to an end as we creep closer to September, and that's a time when you maybe should consider a change in your approach to fishing. Lee Timmerman and Johnny Candle have more in this week's Pros Pointer.
This week, Johnny explains why downsizing your lure might be the way to up your catch. Here's this week's Pros Pointer.
Growing up as a kid, I heard every excuse you can imagine for not catching walleye in the dog days of summer. They go too deep, the water gets too warm. Heck, there's even a wives' tale that says their teeth fall out that keeps them from eating. Well, as I got older and studied fish more in depth, I've learned that that's not why we don't catch them. We don't catch them because we don't change the way we fish, although the fish's eating habits change immensely. What happens in the heat of the summer or the middle of the season is the young of the year bait fish are now edible size, which puts a gigantic amount of bait that's very tiny right in front of the fish, and that's what they focus on. So it's really simple. Drop down from a size 7 to a size 5 or a 4 crankbait, and maybe from an 1.5 inch spinner to a spinner the size of an inch. Maybe go from a whole night crawler to a half. Downsize your baits during the heat of summer, and the dog days will not be doggy any longer. I'm Johnny Candle, and that's this week's Pros Pointer.
Next week, believe it or not, Johnny wraps up season 29 of Pros Pointers.
One more to go this summer.
All right, we'll be back after this.